नमस्कार देवी और सज्जनों, सामाजिक सद्भाव के इस विचार विमर्श में आपका स्वागत है। ये कहानी हम 10 से 12 मिनट में पूरी करेंगे और मैं आशा करती हूँ कि आप इस दौरान हमारे साथ जुड़े रहें। मेरे विपक्ष को सुनने और समझने के लिए धन्यवाद। Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this discussion on social harmony that I've brought to you. With the story being finished in 10 to 12 minutes, I hope you're going to stick through this with us. Thank you for taking out time and hearing my perspective. India, a land of diversity in all its forms, seeks to be a free, secular and a democratic country. Well, a republic. Well, this is something which the Constitution provides to us and which the policies suggest to us. But when we think about the real world, how we behave practically, what I think here is that the society does not really accept it. And that is because that the society is what creates the nation. The policies demand, but the people don't give in. Before I jump into the whole intense discussions, I would like to put out a few examples based on my personal experiences that I have come across, I think in a few months. So I would like to share them with you to give you a small gist of what actually I'm going to talk about and what I'm going to put through to you across this platform. I'm going to cover 3 major topics, the most important of them being religion, religious intolerance and the harmony related to it, and then the other 2 are race and color and gender. The first example suggests race disharmony. My neighbors are looking for a girl to marry their son, and while forming their matrimonial site, they've put in that the skin tone should be very fair. So my mom came up to me and she was telling me about this because she was at their house a few days back, and they said they're looking for a very fair girl because they want her to look like their own family. Religion. My brother had a Muslim girlfriend whom he wanted to marry. It took both the families 4 years to let them be. During these 4 years, she wasn't allowed to go out of her house. She wasn't even allowed to go to office. And all the basic facilities, the most simplest of them being a mobile phone, were taken away from her. After the struggle, when they actually got married in a court, her family does not still know that she's married. Her family, as in the not so close relatives, they still do not know that she has married my brother. The third one being gender. So when I used to have my dance shows like a year back, and when my friends used to come and watch, the very prominent thing that they used to share with me was that, Muskan, all male dancers, all male jazz dancers look like gay. Now the problem here is not the stereotype associated with it or the judgment that my friends passed. It is about how easily we label them as being different than us, only because on the basis of their social sexual orientation and their personal choices, which is nothing but their personal affair. All of these examples portray that despite the fact that the Constitution provides for unity and equality before the law, considering all citizens as equal, the society does not agree with it. Well, most of the times it is unintentional. We've grown up in such environment. We have understood looking at what's happening in front of us. And all of these thoughts are embedded in us, in our subconscious, where we don't even have anything to justify them. Another biggest example of social disharmony is the recent Tanishq ad that came up, which actually I think was beautiful enough to portray 2 religions coming together in the most purest form, which is a wedding. But however, Tanishq faced a huge backlash all over social media. But not only this, the people, like on Instagram, all of my other friends who had a say on it and who thought that this is a very good step, and who were in favor of the ad, and they were putting up stories appreciating and praising the Tanish's courage, were also criticized for it, thus leading to a backlash on the freedom of expression that the country provides to us, and also the intolerance of people to accept and respect diverging and contrasting opinions. India, there is unity and diversity, and it still becomes difficult for us to accept that in the real world. People tend to adjust and not accept. This is just like how my neighbors, ended up compromising on a girl who was dark-toned but intelligent. A few questions that cross my mind usually, when all of these kind of things happen are like, does your religion make you any less of an Indian? And does your skin color really define that you're not beautiful? And does your sexual orientation define you completely as a human? Even when we talk about things such as skin diseases, the idea of the people suffering from them being different, being weird in a way, because this is what I used to think when I was little. Nobody told me that, this is just natural because they're suffering. This is a suffering, and this is something which they can't do anything about even when they're trying to. But however, the label of them being different is so embedded in us, while we catch real life examples when we look around us, we really can't change them. And you know what? At some point, I think when we talk about them being different is actually the right way, because I think yes, it is true, they are different, and in all the positive ways. Because they are so courageous to walk and to wear their pride with them, despite the fact that they're living in a country where people have specified the notions of beauty, literally like the laws in the constitution. And I guess thus, them being different is highly essential. The shared community life and intermingling of cultures has been tainted by misinformation and distancing between religious communities as well. Adding to it, the media has played a vast role in escalating these issues. However, on the contrary, I'm not saying that there are no examples of social harmony in the country. There are actually, and they're quite historical, and they're running from years and centuries with the advent of the 14th century, 15th century. Indian religions have been, known to coexist and evolve for many centuries before the arrival of Islam in the 12th century, followed by the Mughals and the colonial era. Ashoka, about 2200 years ago, Harsha of about 1400 years ago, accepted and patronized different religions with their due respect. Ellora cave temples is another example that are built really next to each other during the 5th and the 10th centuries, for example, show a bright side of coexistence of religions and a spirit of acceptance of different faiths. Then, coming to another example of social harmony in the past between two religions, which I think are most contradictory and most contrasting, is the Indian independence movement for the Hindu-Muslim unity. I've heard, my parents used to tell me that was literally, I think, the last example when they actually saw Hindus and Muslims coming together, fighting for their country together and being united with a single cause. Another example is when Hindu-Muslim residents of Tendua town in Barwani district of Madhya Pradesh came together to cremate the 75-year-old man, Sitaram, who had no family member left behind. People from both the communities attended his funeral ceremony and created him with full honor. However, these examples just suggest you how it has been available to us in all the purest forms since a very long time. However, the problem arises when certain elements join in. India is a vast country where people from different religions and communities live side by side. Unfortunately, this traditionally peace-loving country is sometimes plagued by communal problems. It all happens as some fanatical zealots, apparently indulging in acting against the people of other religions. The alarming rise of fundamentalism is a great concern to the nation. Almost all the states suffer owing to religious or ethnic intolerance. Interreligious communication suffers a breach in this vitiated atmosphere too. Our unity, integrity and solidarity stands at stake. It hampers the growth of a nation at every step. If the nation wishes to make sound progress in the socio-economic and political, even scientific spheres, communal harmony, I believe, should be on the priority list, because it is something which does generate moments of sentimentals and emotions amongst the people when they actually have a collective goal. Some of the major factors which contribute to fundamentalism and communalism and which ultimately disturb peace and harmony of the nation include illiteracy, ethnicity, casteism, patriarchy, linguistic chauvinism, admixture of policies and politics with religion, uneven socio-economic implementation, and rule of law. Coming to the last point, where I think could be another reason for social disharmony and communal disbalances, is this feeling of insecurity and mistrust among different communities against the minority communities, and religious conversions also tend to increase tension from time to time. Again, the last part, institutionalization of communal politics and highlighting of communal and controversial issues by the media also pose a challenge to social harmony. I do not want to conclude it here because the questions that I've put down forward are to be thought about, and I do not wish to conclude the conversation. Not now, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it in the next 1 decade also. But thank you for listening to me.